Luke Littler's presence in the Premier League perhaps is no shock, given the fact that he got to the World Championship final. He's been a sensation over the last 2-3 weeks at Ali Pali, and he's presumably earned his position by merit. But the Premier League is an invitational event. There's no ranking points. So basically, it's the most exciting, the most entertaining, and the most popular players. And although he's 16, although he's a debutant on the tour, he hasn't played a tour event because he only got his tour card a couple of months ago confirmed. There's no reason why you should leave him out, really. Look at the TV figures. Look how many millions have been watching his journey. We had record numbers for the last 16, record numbers for the quarterfinals, and record numbers for the semi-finals. That was all down to this Warrington team. So I can understand why he's in the Premier League. Now, of course, there would be questions, understandably, about is this too much too soon? There's a lot of riches potentially on the table if he was to go far in the Premier League. He could maybe win £275,000 if he wins it come the end of May. The Premier League is spread over 17 weeks, multiple cities, multiple countries. But as I say, there is a concern over, is it too much? Is there going to be burnout? He's only a young man. He doesn't turn 17 until later this month. So the PDC say there are safeguarding measures in place. They claim they can look after him. He clearly wants to do it. And I think for him, it's an opportunity to put him back in the spotlight, in the shop window. And I think millions will follow Luke the Nuke as he travels up and down the country, across different countries, to try and win that Premier League spot. And of course, when you're in the Premier League, you can have sponsorship on your patches, on your logos, on your shirts, and it increases your presence. So with the media interest, with his social media following exploding, with people knowing who he is, I'm sure sponsors will be climbing over themselves to get hold of him.
It's really interesting to see what sort of brands he'll attract. I mean, the obvious one is German doner kebab seems to be the most logical brand association he has. The likes of Selco, who have a relationship with the PDC already, but Juicen, supermarkets with, particularly the sort of Lidls and the Aldis of this world who, have relationships with the Olympics and things like that. They're also looking at, a broader range of athlete endorsements. One of the slight drawbacks for Luke is that he's only 16. I mean, obviously that's part of his appeal, but there are limitations to what, for example, alcohol or betting brands can do in terms of endorsements with him. Both of those industries sort of self-regulate and try to avoid associations of anyone under 25. So he's got a little bit of time before he can sort of get the endorsements from the betting companies, which have habitually sponsored the likes of the PDC Championship, and also the beer brands, because obviously, darts has a reputation as a sport that takes place in pubs, and so therefore there's a sort of obvious relationship with alcohol. So if he keeps winning, I'm sure there'll be relationships in those industries, but it's not something he can unfortunately take advantage of at the moment.
He is still a young man, but of course, if he keeps winning darts matches, he'll be putting himself in contention for trophies like he did last night, and he'll be putting himself in contention for big money. The money will keep flowing. So I think all he has to do is focus on the basics, focus on the practice, focus on winning matches. If you do that, the money will follow. And of course, the sponsorship will follow, the commercial avenues will come to him, the crowds will be flocking to watch him, millions will be tuning in. He's just going to keep a level head.
He's definitely the, it's almost like the reality documentary of his life, is something that I'm sure some enterprising TV execs are already thinking about pitching. One of the important things, as I say, Emma Raducanu found and that her management found, was that striking while the iron is hot is really important. After US Open victory, she signed a load of big deals. His management team will be very, very keen to go out and do that as well. Her performances on court since then have been less stellar, largely down to injuries and so on. But it looks like Luke has the potential and, to continue winning. And darts players don't tend to get so many injuries as tennis players. So, that the path forward for him looks pretty straightforward. It's just down to how cleverly he can be marketed by his agents and his management to make sure that he's taking advantage of the other opportunities that are going to come his way. And those are celebrity shows, reality TV shows, getting him in front of, the Graham Nortons of this world to make sure that his profile continues to transcend the sport. So, ahead of every World Championship or World Match Play event, you're going to want to see him, his PR people will want to be putting him out in front of, you know, the really mainstream TV shows to make sure that he's getting that profile, because that's really what the big brand sponsors want.
I don't think this is a one-off for his career, but I think we have to be realistic. I don't think he'll get to the World Championship final necessarily at the age of 17. He turned 17 this month, or when he's 18 or 19. It might take a couple of years of development on the tour. It might take a couple of years of doing the steps, doing the apprenticeship before he actually gets to another final. Even he acknowledged, this might be the only time I get to the final before I'm 20 or 21. So let's be realistic. During the course of this year, if he is playing the Premier League, there is the danger of burnout. There is the danger of him playing 4 or 5 major competitions under the spotlight alongside the Premier League, because you have the Euro Tours, you have the Pro Tours, you have other qualifiers. So let's see how he gets on. And then, look, he might get into other tournaments on TV and do well. But let's just manage our expectations. It's been a crazy ride, as he said, these last 3 weeks at Ali Pali. And he's in the top 32 in the world now, so that will give him access to other events. Let's just see how his progress goes. But of course, he is the one, he looks the real deal, he is the real deal, and I'm sure he'll be a future world champion. Of course, I don't know what age that will be, but he only came 3 sets away from doing it at the age of 16.